Good morning, everyone. Just checking if you can hear me. If you can, please show me a thumbs up. Brilliant. Good morning. I'm Amin, Head of Professional Learning and Development, and I'm speaking to you today from our Dover campus. I'd like to welcome you all to the Transformative Peace Education session at our 50th UWC Forum. Thank you so much for joining us online. A few reminders before we begin. Please refresh the Socio app if you haven't done it in the last couple of days. This is just to make sure you have the latest updates and announcements on the app. If you have any trouble with the app or the forum in general, you can always email forum@uwc.edu.sg or just pop a question in chat during this session, and we will try and connect with you to answer your questions. For our session today, please use the chat function if you have any questions for Kyo and Louis. And feel free to unmute yourself and talk during the breakout activity. We have put everybody on mute at the moment, but you can turn your camera on, and that would be a great thing to do so we can see you if you can. So our speakers today are Kyo, Amir, and Louis Barnett, who most people in our community know very well. Kyo graduated from UWC in 1992 and taught at UWC Southeast Asia from 2013 to 2015. He was involved in the IFP the whole time, and it's quite interesting to know that his Viva on Transformative Peace Education will begin just 3 hours after this session. So good luck, Kyo, on that. Louis taught at UWC Southeast Asia between 2013 and 2019 as well, and was also heavily involved with the IFP, the toolkit, and he supported the development of the toolkit here at UWC as well. He's currently the education lead at Amala. Kyo and Louis, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today. Over to you.
Thanks for that, Amin. I graduated from UWC PC, the one in Canada, back in 1992. Yeah. And just to share with everyone, I'm actually more nervous and excited about this session than I am about my Viva this afternoon. I'm going to type into the chat now my email address, so you can just kind of like copy and paste it, so that afterwards, after this session, if anyone would like to continue our conversation, more than happy to do so. I'm going to share my screen now. Please give me a sec. Okay. Let's begin first by centering ourselves. We are going to take 3 deep breaths. And when we take those 3 deep breaths, we are very mindful, very aware of the floor that we feel against our feet, the chair against supporting us, supporting our bodies. And we focus on the breath, let our mind wander, and as it wanders, it's about what Malala has said here about education. Our session today, over the next 1.5 hours approximately, is broken up into 4 components. It'll last about 20 minutes each. We'll go into breakout rooms, we'll have a poll, and we shall also be sharing on in chat. It's too large a group for us to have a group sharing, so to speak. But in our breakout rooms, please have that conversation. So we'll begin first with the IFP toolkit, and then we'll explore transformative learning theory. What exactly is transformative learning? A bit about peace education, and we'll end off with my sharing with you where I am currently right now when I think about peace education that is transformative. So IFP, Initiative for Peace, is an illustrative example of peace education. I actually experienced my first peace education when I was a student at UWC-PC in Canada, when I joined an activity called conflict resolution. And because there are so many of us who are not familiar with IFP, we thought we'll begin with and if you have not, a short 3-minute intro that is available on YouTube actually.
So now we're in Timor. Our school has been coming here for 7 years. So we're running a peace conference here called Initiative for Peace. So it's about connecting youth from Singapore to youth in Timor-Leste.
The Initiative for Peace conference lasts for a week, and the conference is about learning and sharing ideas to come together in order to change people's opinions or their thoughts in a positive way so that they can actually do something in order to create peace and sustainable future for their people in their communities. The best part of my IFP experience was when I finished IFP conference in 2010. In that time, I also learned about UWC. I applied to United World College scholarship, and I think IFP was one of the greatest point for me to be able to get into UWC schools.
IFP has brought into me an international understanding about the global concern and how, as a young people, to start shaping the sustainable future and sustainable peace in Timor-Leste.
I think Initiative for Peace is really an extension of the very core UWC idea of bringing together people from different countries and cultures and backgrounds. And it takes it to another level by bringing together young people from regions that are in conflict. But Initiative for Peace always struck me as an extremely powerful idea, this notion of bringing people face to face and focusing on the common humanity.
If you want to make an impact in the world, IFP will give you this chance. If you want to change yourself, IFP will also give you this chance. So come and join us.
I'm going to stop sharing screen now. So Louis can share with us the IFP toolkit that he has put together. Louis?
Thank you, Q. Yeah, and this will be really quick from me, and then we'll get back to Q. This is just to say, this example initiative piece that Q will use throughout his presentation is a program at University SEA starting in 2001. And what we've done over the past couple of years is try to bring some of the resources and the essence and the things we do in that program into a toolkit that we can share with other educators and other students. The reason for that is because we always got a lot of requests about IFP. So we wanted something that we could share with people so that they can explore, think about what they can take and put into their own context, knowing that IFP will never be the same in every single place, neither will peace education programs. And the other reason was also to support our own students who were increasingly starting to run their own peace education programs when they returned home, when they went to university, when they went on their gap years. So, really sort of multifaceted reason for developing this. The toolkit is designed to, I think, act as a seed or a place of reflection where you can look and you can think, I like that. Oh, I don't like that bit so much, and take what you think will work for you. When you sign up, if you sign up, I will share the link in the chat now. So just let me grab that link. You will then receive an email from the IFP Toolkit coordinator email, and I will then add you into the shared drive. So it's a Google shared drive. There's a kind of a main index Google Doc, and then you can begin to explore the IFP Toolkit. Lots of resources, lots of thinking, lots of ideas. It's definitely a start point, not an end point. And you're then free in that email to arrange a call with me, and I can sort of help you answer any questions you have about the toolkit, explore it a little bit, or even connect you to people like you and other people who have led IFP, and students who've been through IFP, so I can connect you to the right people. So nothing more to say than that. Please do sign up. When you sign up, I will start adding you through the presentation. And after this, I will be available. I think we've got probably about 15 minutes where Q will be available to answer any questions, but then he's got to run off and do this small thing called a Viva. But after that, I will then be available in the virtual booth on the event platform, where also I can answer any questions. So there's the toolkit, and we also have this micro site. So if you decide before you put your email address in and start getting emails from me, if you want to just have a little bit more of a look around, there's also that site. So there's 2 links left for you. Please do explore. Thank you. Hugh, over to you.
Thanks, Louis. Right. A few gentle reminders before we get into the session. Many of us are familiar with this as educators. And for those of us who aren't educators or participants who are, UWC-SEA students, I'm sure we are learning about assuming positive intent, and that we listen to understand, not to reply. And I encourage all of us to speak our minds and always remember to let our hearts to do the talking. These are just some, reminders, gentle reminders for us, especially when we get into our breakout rooms. What I would like for all of us to do, unless you really cannot, I would like you to please turn on your camera so we can see everybody. I have 2 screens, so when I'm not looking at you, I'm actually looking at you. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So we are now in, and I hope you are in gallery view. If you can please put yourself in gallery view, not speaker view, but gallery view. And as you look at the gallery, I'm inviting all of us to focus on just that one person. I want us to become aware of this person in front of us. A fellow human being, just like you. And as I say the following phrases, I'm inviting all of us to give our full attention to that person in front of us, who is just like you. This person has feeling, emotions, thoughts, just like me. This person has in his or her life experienced physical and emotional pain and suffering, just like me. This person is learning about life, just like me. This person wants to be caring and kind to others, just like me. And this person wishes to be loved, just like me. Now, as you focus on that one person, I'm inviting you to invite wishes for well-being for the person that you're focusing on to arise in your hearts. I wish that this person in front of me be free from pain and suffering. I wish that this person be peaceful and happy. And I wish that this person be loved. Because this person is a fellow human being, just like me. It's about 20 minutes now. We've been on the screen. So 20 seconds, just let's look away, something about 20 meters away. I think we tend to forget, especially in an online setting, that it's not like a physical setting, and the screen really gets in the way of our brain function, in my opinion. So we have to learn how to work with it. This is the intention of our session. We'll make time later to have a conversation, a group chat about peace education and educating for peace. Right? We'll be touching that later. I want to make it clear that this session is not my sharing about IFP and what makes it transformative. That is my dissertation, but this session is not focused on that. However, it is informed by that, by the last 6 years of study. And since we have a range of participants to this session, I'm pitching it to non-educators, and we will be touching briefly on a handful of big ideas. It's just touching things that I think are necessary for peace education and educating for peace to be transformative. So I would like for us to think of this session as an invitation for further exploration. And for the educators amongst us, please observe my session with a critical lens, with a critical eye. And then later on, you can pick apart the principles that I've used to design the session. And this is essentially how I facilitate online lessons that invite transformative learning experiences. We are going to break up into groups of 4 or 5 here. Louis will be setting us up, right? And when we are in our groups, it'd be great if you can turn on your video, of course, so you can have an authentic conversation. And what I would like for us to have a conversation about for about 8 minutes is the first question. Why? Why do we have formal education? Let's have a really good think about that. Why do we have schools? And if we have time, what is the product of formal education? And I would encourage us to talk about what you think as opposed to what the system is. So on that note, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then Louis can pull us into our breakout rooms now.
I am working on it.
Okay. And I use a stopwatch, so it's 8 minutes.
Okay, not much longer.
2 stopwatches. One stopwatch for me to remind myself to not speak too long, and another stopwatch for the breakout rooms and things like that. Yeah. No pressure, Louis.
Okay. Ready.
All right.
If you
Mhm.
if you end up not going to a room, I will get you into a room.
Yeah, I'll stay out. Yeah, because I had issues in the past when I did that, and then Zoom collapsed on me.
Okay, opening the rooms now.
See you all in 10 minutes. As long as we have as long as we have 2 people in a room, that's cool. Yeah, they
think
can have
we're
a
good.
Yeah.
conversation.
I'm just trying to like move people.
Yeah, you'll have to do that, I think, because some of us are the hosts.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about IT support, Louis.
Oh yeah, I'm leaving. I just one more to assign.
Okay, great.
Just want to make sure there's at least 2 people who have joined each room.
We have at least 2 people in each room. There is one room with 0 people, which is fine. So the rest at least have 2 in them.
I just need to make sure that they've actually joined. And you've got 2 people. Cool.
How many participants do we have right now?
30 something, around 40.
Okay, great. Because I'm just thinking about, okay, good.
There is one unassigned, Janet. Louis, are you? Okay, good.
I'm muting my microphone.
I'm gonna go in a breakout room, see if everything is okay.
Q, I'm just joining a room because there's one person in it. Q, are you able to control the breakout rooms? Just because I need to go to another breakout room where somebody's on their own. Oh, Amin has gone in there. Great.
Okay. Yeah, I can control the breakout room too, actually. Yeah. So I just broadcasted a message for a couple of minutes ago that we have 4 minutes left. I think some groups have completed their conversation. Others are still
All right.
engaged.
You've got track of time, right?
Aye.
Brilliant. There was somebody on their own. I moved them.
Okay.
Everything else is all right. Okay, I'm muting. Do you want them to talk when they're back?
No. The talking is just within the breakout room. Yeah.
Okay, good. So when they're back, I'll mute everybody again.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. I'm closing the rooms now. My apologies for pulling you out of the breakout rooms like that. For those of us who are still, it pains me every single time. I'm still trying to figure out how to work around that, you know. For the non-educators amongst us, the next few slides are actually primarily for the non-educators amongst us, and for the educators, it will just serve as a reminder for the conversation and the frameworks that we need to have for the conversations we'll be having in the next, parts in the next parts of this session. Human education really occurs, right? We've defined it to occur in 3 learning spaces. And what we are focused on today is formal education, right? In a school setting. Of course, all the other, informal and non-formal are as important. We need all 3. Oh, it's hanging. Okay, great. I'm very proud to say actually that my fellow UWC graduates, the founders of Amala Education, were part of this collaborative that contributed to the OECD's Learning Compass 2030. Formal education conventionally focuses on cognitive education, knowledge, content knowledge, and physical or skills education. And skills is not just physical, of course, it's cognitive. Very rarely do formal education systems, mass formal education systems, engage with the affective component, the attitudes and the values. And most formal education systems have valued cognitive education above the others. I'm sharing this now, especially for the non-educators amongst us, for us to understand that the OECD Learning Compass has been published and it is gaining traction. And when I think about formal education systems, mass formal education systems, the OECD I mean, there's going to be a sea change, I believe. The OECD, of course, administers the PISA test, which kind of like studies various formal education systems around the world. And for ministries of education, for governments like Singapore that take that very seriously, there is going to be a change when the testing, so to speak, the assessment of education systems are based on this Learning Compass 2030 as opposed to the conventional manner that many of us tend to think about formal education. And if you can, focus here is transformative competencies. What does that really mean, transformative? We use the word transformative in a throwaway manner. It's like, oh, it's changing. But what are we changing into? Formal education, again, just focus on formal education, even though human education has 3 learning spaces, have primarily, usually, we think of it as having 3 roles to play: the economic role, the intrapersonal role, and the interpersonal role. Unfortunately, I say that's my value judgment. We have conventionally prioritized the economic role. And if interpersonal is not even in the picture in most formal education systems, the interpersonal role, if it is in a formal education, tends to seek to strengthen the status quo. It's not about the critical lens, it's about state, and it's state-centric, it's economic driven. We can have a whole conversation about this, right? So what I would like for us to do now is actually to type into the chat, right? Over the next 5 minutes, actually, because of the time, let's just put it to like 4 minutes. Just think and then just share. What I'm going to do at the end of the session is to collate all the contributions. I'm going to actually do a coding on it. Right? I'm going to study it. Please feel free to share, right? And then if anyone is interested, I'll share what we all think. I want to learn from you too. So this is the question I'm posing here. What do I think learners should be transformed into? Whether you're an educator or not a formal educator, what do I think learners should be transformed into? Think about it over the next 4 minutes and then just type it in. Share it, please. Thank you for all the sharing. You guys are giving me goosebumps, man. You know, and I fourth Tim's comment about readers. Please feel free as thoughts come in if you want to continue adding, right, to the chat, what you think we should be transforming to. Now, Jack Maziro was the initial architect of transformative learning theory. And this is what his definition, and this definition constitutes one of the foundational ideas of transformative learning theory. He first published the first paper he published was back in 1975, and a lot has changed since then, of course. More inclusive, discriminating, self-reflective, and integrative of experience. You know, echoed in many of our comments, many of our sharing. This is the most comprehensive transformative learning theory framework right now, authored by these three scholars on transformative learning. If we want an education program, if you want to educate for peace in a transformative manner, if you want peace education to be transformative, I believe we need to identify what is it you want to have our learners transform into. And it's a starting point, right? This is a starting point. I'm not saying that this is the one, but this four. At the end of the presentation, at the end of the session, I'll share with you what I discovered about IFP. And that to get there are three processes that we can tap into. Now, the cognitive process is logic heavy. It's about action. It's about critical reflection. It's about discourse with others. It's about experience, especially experience that is of a disorienting dilemma kind of nature. The beyond rational approach, the beyond rational process is about engaging the other ways of knowing, right? Us TOK teachers, we love that. And the other ways of knowing, not just logic. It's about engaging to the spiritual, aesthetic, you know, it's working on our soul. It's emotions driven, it's emotions based, and it's dialogue with others, but different from cognitive, it's dialogue with others in a supportive manner. The social critic process is the empowerment of the learner, social action that the learner is taking, through which we arrive at the transformative learning outcome. It's the unveiling of oppression and critiquing ideology. And I love what we've done here in UWC-SEA, because we actually have a group of graduates, UWC-SEA graduates, who are asking that question. How do we decolonize UWC? Right? Are we inclusive? So just 1 minute, because there's perhaps quite a few things here, right? So we're going to take a 1 minute pause, and I want us to just sit back, close our eyes, and just ask ourselves, in whatever we are doing, in everything that we've discussed and explored and I've shared, how is this relevant to my current context? So just 1 minute of personal introspection. I have just sent a file on the chat. If you can please open it and read it. And the question here is, which one do you think is the most important for learning experience to be transformative? So there are 6 that you can choose from, and Louis will begin the poll. And once you have chosen, after you've read, please do the poll. And initially, I wanted to do this on Mentimeter so everyone could see how it's changing. But we wanted to keep it tight on Zoom. I'm looking at this and it's fascinating to see how it's shifting. Mm. One more minute. We have about 8 of us who are still deciding. No rush. You still have 1 more minute. Louis, can you please share the results now? My apologies to those of us who are still undecided. Interesting, interesting, isn't it? Let's look at this for another 30 seconds. And I invite all of us to kind of like think about this. What does this mean? The 6 actually are all core elements for transformative learning. And it's interesting that most of us think of critical reflection as most important. But not, and there are so many of us who are looking, and there are others, of course, who think that that is. The point that I'm trying to make here is Taylor had reviewed the literature over the last 30, 40, 50 years or so. And he's discovered this, that these are the 6 things that we need to have. Before we go for our 5-minute digital well-being break, right? I would like to end this first half of the session with this quote from one of the most influential peace education scholars now. We are moving towards peace education. And this is what she had to say. This is what she wrote back in 1988. It's a very bold claim to make, very bold. Nation-state system has been in existence for about 200 odd years. And if we consider the invention of agriculture as the start of human settlements, then human settlements have been around for 11,000 years. Five minutes. Please walk away from the screen. Walk around. I'm going to pick up one of my guitars actually. And I'll see you all in like 5 minutes. We are back. If anyone's interested, the piece of music for the digital wellbeing break is called Peace Piece by Bill Evans, if I remember correctly. And during our reflection, I like to, what's the word for it? Play the piece of music by Arvo Part. It's called Spiegel im Spiegel, reflection, mirror in mirror. I find that piece of music, I think it contributes to this. And you may be wondering, why do I turn off as I walk around, picking up my guitar and things like that? It's a choice to be vulnerable, right? With my learners. I mean, you're not my learners. I mean, we are having a conversation, but with my undergraduates, for example, or any workshop that I'm setting up, if it's going to be online, then it's about, this is who I am. I don't use a virtual background. Oh, we can talk about this on and on. It's a separate conversation. My apologies. I get so excited about talking about education and all that. Right. Okay. Oh, something's hanging. Fingers crossed. All right. So we begin our next session with you having a conversation with each other again in our breakout rooms. I've been using these two phrases, educating for peace and peace education. Are they different? Are they the same? I'll share with you in a bit after your conversation how I use these terms. I would like for us to go into our breakout rooms and then have a conversation for about 8 minutes again, and just share with each other what we understand by these two phrases. Louis, can we get our breakout rooms again? Thanks, man.
Yep, and you will most likely be with different people this time as well. And if anybody is alone, I will come in and rescue you.
Louis, I can't hear you. Sorry. Louis, can you check your audio with me?
Yep, can you hear me?
Not hearing you. Maybe it's me. All right.
I can hear you, but it might.
It's working at our end, Louis and Q.
Start timing though. You can hear me, eh?
Yes.
Can you say something?
Hi.
Ah, okay, got it. All right, it's working now.
Q, how long have we got left?
About 35 minutes. Well, we actually have until 12:15.
Sorry, I mean for the breakout room.
Oh, breakout room, I see. 4 more minutes. Let me broadcast the message to all. Now, this is the one thing about online, sessions that I don't like, which is like breakout room, because I'm not there, right? Like when in person, you can be in the middle and you can kind of like feel the energy. Like I don't know what's being discussed. I can't pick up on anything. Don't know when to stop when it's right. If I want to cut it or let it run a bit longer. And most importantly,
and go into the breakout rooms if you like.
That's
yeah, that's the disruptive part too. Can't come in and out just like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then now what I'm about to do, which is I'm going to close all rooms, and then they see, we all get pulled out. It's horrible.
Another double check. Is anybody talking after the breakout?
No. Yeah,
okay.
We just keep doing this. Yeah. Thanks, Amin. Closing rooms now.
All right.
The countdown is at 13 seconds now. My apologies, Jenny, Kurt, Anthony, Chunyu, Clayton. I think you guys were still like we have the last 8 minutes in our own breakout rooms been asking each other to share our understanding of these two phrases, educating for peace and peace education. For me, these two phrases really came into stark relief when I was moderating a session involving educators, school administrators, and sorry, I'm brought back to that weekend. Policy designers, educational policy designers in regions of violent conflict. Over lunch, one of them turned to me and said, how do we teach peace when our youth just want to pick up a rifle and fight? They're not going to listen to me when I talk about peace education because they just want to kill. They want to defend. And another, I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit, no, I'm not sorry for it. It's not, I think. And another shared with me that she's in charge of 700 teachers. Half of them are blacklisted by the security forces of her country. And more than 100 have disappeared. Peace education, we are very fortunate to be where we are right now, and we can pontificate and talk about peace education and educating for peace. And I would like to just take this time for us to remember many of our fellow human beings, our comrades, our fellow educators, for those of us who are educators, right, who are trying to deliver education in circumstances where their very lives are at stake. And at the end of the 2 days, I learned from them to really make a distinction between peace education and educating for peace. We'll come to this again at the end. And the way in our more privileged situation, I would like to suggest that the UWC movement, the UWCS and UWCSEA, which is part of that, that is educating for peace. It's our curriculum. For the non-educators, the technical word here, that's the curriculum of our formal education. The IB provides that. The UWCSEA provides the curriculum. And IFP is a peace education syllabus. So that's the distinction that I make. Because when I was talking to these amazing educators who literally put their lives on the line every single freaking day to deliver formal education, they said to me, Q, we can't talk peace education right now, but we can educate for peace. Sorry, it's the weekend was quite recent. I just need to recollect myself. So then the question then asks, that I'm asking us to then type into the chat again, all right? For an education program to be considered peace education, what should be in it? What must be present in it? Please share your thoughts, and I'll play Spiegel im Spiegel. And we'll enjoy reading the contributions. Again, thank you, number one, and it's keep it coming, the wealth of wisdom. I call it wisdom, not knowledge. The wealth of wisdom that I see here. I'm goosebumping right now. Seriously, thank you for sharing, and I look forward to really going through this with a fine lens over this weekend. 20 minutes now, again, 20 seconds, 20 meters down as much as possible. Okay. After 6 years of studying, my eyes have deteriorated tremendously. Well, it could be because I'm 48 years old now too. So we are entering our final stage, right? In the first bit, we looked at transformative learning theory, and then we looked at peace education, and now I'm sharing with you to end off our session, sharing with you what I've discovered. And I would like to just, say that what I'm going to share here is based on the 11 years I have been involved with IFP. I'm still involved with IFP actually remotely. The last 6 years of study. And most importantly, the 92 UWC graduates, the oldest graduated in 2007 and the youngest graduated in 2018, who were kind enough to share with me the life significant experiences during their UWC years. 48 of these 92 were IFP members, and those conversations were the ones that I've coded, and now I'm sharing with you that what I've discovered based on their meaning making of their IFP experience. My next paper will be on the UWC graduates who are not IFP members. And then I'll share that with the community too, like what have we, discovered. And my data collection is still ongoing, and it's a great excuse to catch up with former students too, and now fellow UWC graduates. So I'm doing my best to refrain from going into detail. I'll do this in my academic defense later this afternoon. So when we use the most comprehensive transformative learning framework, right, that I shared at the start, for the 48 IFP members who shared with me what they remember as life significant outcomes that they connect to IFP, shift in worldview is the most prevalent. And so 39 out of 48. And in the 39 conversations, there were 104 different instances in our conversations that was mentioned. If anyone is interested in the research, the literature, everything, right? Please feel free to email me. Like I say, I enjoy talking about this, and I'll share with you the articles, the books, electronic version, PDF version. So you don't have to do the research, I have it. So I just dump on you all the relevant ones that may interest you. Right? And then we can have a conversation. When we look at what are the transformative learning processes, 48 out of 48, 505 times it was mentioned in the conversation. So the process was very important. And just a reminder, cognitive processes encompasses action, critical reflection, discourse with others, and experience, especially experiences that are of a disorienting nature. I did not expect social critique to be this low, right? Because my hidden assumption, my design of the syllabus, together with all the IFP teachers, and the way we deliver it was actually this, was quite a bit of social, However, several years down the road, as graduates, when they look back and they see where they are right now, yeah, I'm not saying that it's not important, right? There are 42 of them who did mention it, but it is far less. So the curriculum or the syllabus as experienced by learners, this is an illustration. What is experienced by our learners can be very different from how we design and how we implement, how we deliver. That's fascinating in that sense. I'm not surprised about this, right? How low beyond rational is. And that is something which is lacking, in my opinion, in peace. And I love, someone had mentioned, I think, I can't remember who, but someone had mentioned about arts, music to be part. Yeah. We need more of that, man. There are 5 common threads that emerge from the data. And this, whenever I look at this, I'm like, we've done our jobs. My social impact emerged strongly, right? 44 out of 48. And what they're talking, what these former IFP members were saying was that what is my social impact now? I have been asking myself this question since I left UWC-SEA. What is my social impact? What can I do to make the world a better place wherever we are? Whatever we do, whatever I become. The other 4, I believe, are facilitating conditions for transformative learning processes to be encouraged and then we arrive at our transformative learning outcomes. Now, let's just focus on my social impact. How is that possible? What did we do in IFP? Because my conversation with the IFP members was about IFP. I'm looking forward to really studying my conversations with the UWC-SEA graduates who are not part of a peace education program, but had been part of an Educating for Peace curriculum, which is UWC-SEA. I don't know the result. I mean, I'll share later on once I find out what that is with you guys, right? And then we can have a study of it, reflect on our praxis and improve on it. I believe that my social impact as a transformative learning outcome occurs because of our hidden assumption of Bildung. Bildung is a German word, it's a philosophy for education, as opposed to what I call utilitarian pragmatism. Right, okay, sorry. All right, no academic stuff here. So Bildung is about the cultivation of the human being rather than the human doing. Besides explicitly defining what we want our learners to transform into, because if you are clear on that, then I think we can get education programs, peace education or educating for peace, to be transformative. But we need to be clear, what do we want them to transform into? Again, I'm suggesting these 5, right? The 4, which are already in the literature, and the 1 that is emerging, that has emerged from my data. What we need to think about when we think about peace education is to be clear that peace education is part of peace building, that it lies squarely in this realm, and because we are contributing to the emergence of cultures of peace, so we are addressing cultural violence. If that is clear as a hidden assumption. Conventionally, one of the frameworks of peace, I love this framework when we think about true peace, it has 3 dimensions. And based on the 92 conversations I've had, about 100 hours, and not just talking, and then actually studying it, and I've studied 48 of them, I'm starting to see this framework in this manner, that inner peace is foundational. Quite a number of us share that. What should be in a peace education context? Inner peace, loving ourselves. Not saying that it's the most important, it's just foundational. And it is impacted, of course, by environmental peace and social peace, and they are interdependent. They contribute to each other. Perhaps this is a suggestion, educating for peace curriculum. All 3 should be in there somewhere. A peace education syllabus like IFP, I think, should focus on 1 to make it effective. Not saying that we ignore the others, but focus on 1. And IFP, for example, as a peace education program, has been focusing on social dimension. Increasingly in the last handful of years, especially, and also because of my own evolution as a peace educator, we are bringing in inner peace too, the inner peace dimension. And I believe strongly that, and this is like a blue sky kind of like dream, right? That I believe strongly that for peace education or educating for peace to be effective, we need to design it with the understanding that the learning that occurs in that program or in that school is transformative. We want to make it transformative. Transformative is not, oh, it happens. No. We work towards it. We design, we deliver it to encourage, to invite our learners to experience transformative learning. And when we talk about emancipation, it is the ability to critically reflect on the shackles that do not allow individuals and some parts of society to flourish, and to have the knowledge, skills, values, attitudes to engage constructively with conflict, to engage with conflict in a non-violent manner. This is an example of, perhaps this, right? I wrote here peace education, not educating for peace. But I would say that curricula can be designed, and in my opinion, it should be designed. If you want curricula that educate for peace, how do we do it? So just as an example, I'm a physics geek, right? Physics, okay. Einstein's equation. This is expected for IB exam. And that is school learning. It's superficial learning. If we connect it to enhance global warming, renewable sources of energy, so on and so forth, it becomes life relevant learning. How do we bring it up to transformative learning? Perhaps this is a letter, the letter written by Einstein in 1939, when he asked Roosevelt, President Roosevelt then, to begin nuclear weapons research. Einstein. And then in 1955, together with Bertrand Russell and a handful of other thinkers, they're asking for nuclear disarmament. So Einstein changed. Then we can have in this class about E equals mc squared, have a discussion. Why did Einstein write this 1939? What caused the change of heart? What were his attitudes? What are ours? What values do I need to have? One minute. Stay away from the screen. How is this relevant to my current context? To end our session, I'd just like to share a few more things. Some special mention, what I'm working on and what I hope to work on more. When I think of peace education syllabus design, I believe strongly that educating for peace and peace education need to look at the biographical structuration that occurs during our childhood. We need to, in my opinion, right, as part of the program, as part of the learning. These are the adverse childhood experiences. And I say this not just from an academic perspective. I score 8 out of 10 on this. So it's a personal journey that I've had that has lasted a lifetime. Social emotional learning, and this is the CASEL framework. Wonderful website. Please go to CASEL, C-A-S-E-L, for social emotional learning. And the competencies. Of course, there are other frameworks, and this is the framework that I use, that I appreciate most. I think should be part of any education program that is looking at specifically inner peace. Where do we begin when it comes to social peace, as well as environmental peace? The Institute for Economics and Peace, based in Australia, I believe it's Sydney, I think has wonderful resources. Now, I do not use their state-centric economic focus approach. I actually don't like it. I told them. And which is great. They're very open and all that. So we've had a conversation, and they change, they improve, of course, and they evolve. And it's highly, highly recommended. So for any of us who are kind of like, okay, how do we engage with peace education? What about negative peace? What about positive peace? Well, go to Institute for Economics and Peace. The Global Peace Index studies negative peace, and they have their positive peace. These are two specific reports that are, and they have environmental too. They have global terrorism report, so on and so forth. So I would like to end off with just this question, a set of questions really. Could IFP, a peace education program, be as impactful as it has been without being part of UWCSEA? You know, what if, and that's what I'm trying to do now with a university in Singapore, trying to start a program. Well, not me, right? But I've been asked, right, by a particular department to engage in conversations that contribute to inner peace. And it is in a school that is focused on the economic role of formal education. We'll find out in the next few years. And one thing that I have learned is that the outcomes that I shared with you just now, that the IFP members have shared with us, are also echoed by UWCSA graduates who are not IFP members. And the question that I have is, are there differences then between having had an explicit peace education experience and learning in a system, in an education system that educates for peace? I don't know yet, and I hope to find out in the next few months. And I would like to leave with this slide of the ultimate goal of peace education. And we'll take 3 deep breaths, and Amin will take over. First breath. Kopkun Makrab and terima kasih. Sawadee krab and assalamualaikum from Chiang Mai, Thailand. Oh, and let me type in my email address again. So please feel free to email me to copy and paste. And I look forward to more conversations. And I'll be in the networking.
Thank you so much, Q and Louis, for a really interesting session.
It's yours.
Thank you so much, Q and Louis, for a really interesting session that's close to our hearts, and it's getting even more important these days. Thanks everyone for joining us today and for sharing your thoughts and questions in chat. I'm sure you all have your favorite bits from today, and you have questions you would like to discuss further. If you would like to engage with Q and Louis in a more interactive space, you can join the online networking section either on the app or on your browser. It appears right under this session, and you can just click on it and join. It has a maximum of 13 people, so if you would like to be there and catch Q before he goes for his Viva, join sooner. Louis will be there too, helping you afterwards. We also have an IFP toolkit virtual booth where you can see the toolkit and also chat with Louis directly, or even ask for a follow-up meeting on this. You can also connect with our speakers and participants on the profiles on the event app if you would like to. And one last point before we go. If you're at Dover, go for some face-to-face networking at the Heritage Cafe. And if you're online, join any of our online networking sessions that you're interested in. Next session on the agenda is a keynote speech after lunch by Andreas Schleicher, Director of Education and Skills at OECD. He will be talking about holistic education in a high-tech era. Thank you so much for joining again, and I hope to see you face-to-face or online during the forum today and tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Amin. Thanks, Louis.
Thanks, Q. Thank you so much, Louis. Enjoy the rest of your day. The
Yeah.
online networking, I'm gonna go click on it and see you
Yeah.
in that space that's
Yeah.
not on Zoom. So I'll see you there. in
I'm
a
going
few
over there
seconds.
too. Yeah.
All right.
How do we get that again?
On the forum app, yeah, under your session, you will see it. If you can't find it, just send me a message. I'll close the session now.
Thank you.